Mahoning County Board of Elections will hold a regular board meeting of the members of the board on October 5th, 2023 at 9 a.m. in the boardroom of the Mahoning County Board of Elections office at 345 Oak Hill Avenue. Would the director call the roll, please?
Ms. Barger?
Here.
Attorney Beatrice?
Here.
Mr. Orange?
Here.
Ms. Calpesta?
Here.
Would the vice chair of the Board of Elections lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could we have a moment of silence, especially for my son? I have no idea where he is.
Oh, no.
Ladies, you guys have an awesome day.
The chair will now entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the September 18th, 2023 regular special board meeting.
So moved.
There's a motion made by Vice Chairwoman Sandra Barger. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by member Joyce Kehl-Pesta. Is there any questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, would the director call the roll, please?
Ms. Barger?
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice?
Yes.
Mr. Orange?
Yes.
Ms. Calpesta?
Yes.
The chair will now recognize a motion to approve the bills of accounts and payments for May, August, and September of 2023.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion made by Vice Chair Sandra Barger, and there's a second made by member Joyce Kehl-Pesta. Is there any questions? I have a question. These reissued checks, I'm assuming that's because people lost their checks?
Yes, they can't find them, they rip them, all kinds of reasons.
Okay.
Dog ate my chest.
Yeah, it's bad.
And the larger payments, these are for the deputies like David Wilson?
Yes,
From here on out, could you put just in here so we know deputy or, you know, so we know who's.
Sure.
You understand what I'm saying?
yeah, just next to their name, or you want that, just to say security in,
I think that deputy security, just so we know, so when I'm looking down here,
yeah,
I don't know if it's a worker or if it's an extra, just so we know,
okay, no problem.
okay? All right, any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, would the director call the roll, please?
Ms. Barger?
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice?
Yes.
Mr. Orange?
Yes.
Ms. Calpesta?
Yes.
Chairman's report. The only thing I want to ask about is what have we done with the letters that we were having going out and stuff?
So because of the churches.
Yeah.
So we met with the prosecutors this week and the sheriff's department, and the plan of action is to, on that day, what they did is they gave us a clarification about signage, campaigning, whether you can be an electioneer, what we would do if there were demonstrators. If we sent letters or if we called them all over here, they thought that would be like a siren going off and it would cause problems with the contracts were already signed. So they said, okay, we already have a signed contract. After that, what would we do? If something happens on that day, what would we do? So we have the deputies broken up into 5 quadrants. So there's going to be a deputy in a squad car assigned to polling locations per quadrant. And then as the locations, if the locations call in and if they have a problem, we could send them. We could, do you want to address the signage, Tom, and how we
No,
can
but I'll be going out with the delivery team to every church and talking with the pastors and the office managers as we deliver the equipment. So it'll be a one-on-one meeting with me and the office manager, and most likely the pastor, because we schedule our deliveries when they're there.
Yeah, so my concern is both for the places we're renting it from and the voters going in to vote, okay? This is a very contentious issue. Some people are very, have feelings, very strong feelings one way or another, and I can appreciate a pastor not wanting a sign on his property saying, vote.
So with this,
Go ahead.
so sorry.
Go ahead.
So what the clarification was, because they already signed a contract about electioneering, that they had to have the signs, but we don't have to keep the signs. We could take out both the yes and the no on that issue, as they call that day, case by case. if we would have sent it to all 35, I think, I don't know if you were here that, how many voters it was like,
It was half a vote.
yeah. So we couldn't move the locations within the time frame that we had.
I don't know
So-
if it's constitutional to prohibit an issue but allow everything else to go.
Well,
We might
we
run
did
into
get
some
the
problems.
prosecutors are involved on it.
And what'd they say?
Well, we have an opinion that they sent to you.
They said
It's
that
in your-
if we want to take both down, we can take both down, yes, they no.
And actually,
Take everything
well,
down.
and the polling location has the right to say take these down. But that's, they're not their attorney, they're our attorney. So if they choose to, we would be glad to remove them.
All right, so do we have a plan of action what are we gonna tell people? There's gonna be issue one and pro and con out, and they're gonna wanna place signs up. And so, how are we gonna handle it if they have a sign up and a path? Joyce, you wanted to say something.
Well, there were 3 contentious areas that we had terrible problems with, Spanish Evangelical, my own church, and there was one other. Did you move those locations?
They did
Are we
not.
still at Spanish Evangelical?
We are.
We
Well,
are.
that's gonna be a very contentious problem then.
And at St. Christine's, where would you like us to move that?
Well, I'm sure there's other locations, I mean.
Well, not now, it's too
No,
late.
we're just, so,
We're out of time.
Oh, St. Christine's wasn't actually an issue, it was just a big sign. They didn't take it down or they didn't do anything, but Spanish Evangelical actually raised big, serious problems that we had on election day.
So I thought it was it wasn't the church itself, it was the groundskeeper.
No, it was the church too, it was the pastor.
All I'm saying is, we have to have a better plan in place, because the billboards or whatever, I could see the vote no, we're gonna have a very,
Yeah.
very, shocking signs, okay? And so, we can't just say, well, we take yes and no's down. That's gonna be a problem. I'm just warning everyone ahead of time. When you have this contentious of an issue and you say, well, we're taking both signs down, we're gonna get blowback on both sides. So we gotta have a plan of, do we wait until we get a complaint? Do we say to the pastors, they have a right to put up a sign, if you don't wanna put up a sign, then vote no signs can't go up either.
So right now, the way the contract reads is they already agreed to allow electioneering and signs within 100 feet of the building. They already signed the contract.
Well, then I think we
So-
just say that, I hate suppressing anyone's speech. And I hate picking, well, you can campaign for issue one, what's the marijuana one, is it issue two?
That's
Two. But you can't put up a sign for issue one, but you can't put up a sign for issue two. To me, we are then picking what speech is acceptable and which speech isn't. I think we should allow the signs to be up and we have a signed contract.
Well, that's exactly what, and to your point, that's what the director said. One of the reasons we didn't just take them all out was because it is our democracy and free speech, and to deal with it case by case on election day. Those 3 churches, we did look into those, and we looked into each instance, what happened and what the complaints were. I don't know if you remember, but the one of them were our fault. It was our BLM who didn't understand not to remove the sign. So we were with the prosecutors for like 3 hours the other day, talking about just this issue, and we talked to the sheriff's department yesterday, so they're all on board with us. Everybody
Political
understands.
speech in this country has the most protected status out of anything. And I do not want us to adopt a position that on a certain issue, no one can have their speech, because I just have a different legal opinion. We aren't being neutral on that. They think they're being neutral because we say no yes and no no's. But we're allowing other people to put up signs for other issues. So we are in a sense suppressing a person's First Amendment right on issue one, whether they're for or against it. And I'm not comfortable with saying, well, all the signs gotta come down. I mean, that's political speech. That is afforded the most protection in this country. So I think we just have to tell them, look, you signed a contract, this is freedom of speech. We have rented your grounds these days, we're sorry, but that sign's gonna stay up. I think we run into trouble if we say, well, we're gonna take the yeses down and we're gonna take the nos down. I just think we run into trouble with that. I mean, I think we're picking like, well, you can campaign on this issue, but you can't campaign on that issue.
I think the first option in the plan of action, and I'm going to send it to you when I send it back to the sheriffs and Lynette, so, and it'll be memo to council, so it's just, the first plan of action would just be to try to gently enforce the contract, because the deputies will be there and be like, all right, we'll make sure everybody's 100 feet. That was the other thing, to make sure everybody was 100 feet, whether it was raining, you know, no matter what the weather is, make sure everybody's actually behind the flag. So we made new signage to go with those buckets that have the flags, and then the BLMs will be trained on making sure that that is all day long. We're keeping the people behind the space.
See, the 100-foot thing, it's nice if there's just one entrance. But like at St. Christine's, I mean, do you draw an arc of 100 feet? I mean, that's what we're gonna have to do. But that would be right into the, parking lot though, when we did that. We couldn't put a flag up. I mean, we could
did
put.
that.
Yeah, Joyce came up with that idea a few years ago. We had a
Tape measure.
tape
Or what-
measure,
Yeah,
well, string, and
Yeah.
we measured 100 feet in every
direction.
direction, we sent with to every location, you use it from the door up to the parking lot. And then John Kenny came up with the buckets with sand and flags. and
But the
places-
problem is that at some places that'll go right into the parking lot.
That's good.
It
Many
does,
places
it does.
Well, may I throw out a
Yeah.
suggestion? That we get a very dark chalk and we chalk it off
It's a good idea.
and say, this is 100 feet. So you could just measure out 100 feet of rope, go to the end of the rope, get a really thick, you know, like sidewalk chalk that's yellow or red, and just arc it around and say, no election, you know, this is, no electioneering past this line, right on the sidewalk.
I'll bring my granddaughter's chalk, there's all kinds.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Rather than put up a thing that blocks people's parking, you know?
That's a great idea. You could do it the night before too.
We could.
Mhm.
We know the locations where we have issues with
Well,
Yeah,
St.
there's
Christine
not-
would be one.
Yeah, that would be one.
St. Nick's and
Well, they
Strawberry.
had that great
St.
big
Nick's,
one
oh, yeah,
sign
St.
in
Nick's
the,
was the one, yeah.
outside the parking
Yeah.
lot that made people angry.
I like that idea.
That's a
Yeah.
good idea.
You know,
Great idea. Once in a while, David.
wow, compliment from the church.
Write that down.
Write that
Write
Lucky day.
it. Make
Good
note
thing
of
it's
that.
being memorialized. All right, I don't have anything else, but I still want us to work on that. I want us to be very conscientious of it. You know, it's our obligation to provide as a hassle-free voting experience for everyone, okay? We are playing with sacred, in my opinion, sacred people's rights, their right to express their voice in their democracy, and so we have to allow that so they're not harassed or whatever.
And we
So-
should say too that at this point, so far we have a little over 1,000 absentee application requests processed. So it's really slow. Last time at this point, we had a little more than 4,000. I sort of think the middle of October, everything's gonna ramp up and get, do you think that, Tom? Middle of
Yeah,
October?
it's been a lot slower right now than it has been.
Yeah,
in
but
August.
it's always, I mean, this is an odd year, and we never get a big turnout, but this issue 1 and issue 2, I think is gonna, I think issue 2 is gonna have a lot
I
of
think
people
it's gonna
out.
ramp up and once all the literature
Yeah.
starts going around
Okay.
and all the, you know,
Yeah.
And I think with the director going out with helping deliveries at certain locations and having the discussion
Yeah.
with the staff, that will bring it to their attention as well, that we are very aware that there's a contentious vote going on here.
I mean, in some places might even find issue 2 contentious. Personally, I don't understand why you can drink yourself to death, but you can't smoke yourself to death. But
it's
some-
sort of
one,
interesting too, because the churches have sent out a lot of literature locally, but we have not received a single phone call. Don't you think that's interesting?
Oh, yeah.
Not work.
Churches are involved with this already.
So they know,
Catholic churches, for sure.
yeah, but we haven't heard,
A lot of churches.
A lot of churches, they're putting in bulletins, it's pretty, you
it's
know,
intense, right?
intense.
Yeah.
okay. Director's report.
We gave some of it already. We are behind from August vote-wise, but everything's going good. The registrations are caught up with, the absentees are caught up day to day. We expect to be a little more busy, but we haven't yet, but we will. Training has started already. The full recruitment's gone pretty good. It was about 5 weeks where people call off and not show up, but that's going well. Melissa, do you have any special projects or anything right now? Work on the poll books? Yeah.
Poll books, our customer service area, have you all taken a walk back there to see?
I'll go. It was just getting framed in.
Yeah,
It's still getting framed in, there's nothing new.
okay.
So I know we got sued, Tom, right? What's happened with that lawsuit?
We haven't heard anything back from the prosecutor's office. Troy Polis from the Poland School Board, the current member, sued us.
Yeah.
We expected it to be thrown out. It was filed late, wasn't filed in a timely manner. Ballots going out already for overseas. So it's something over the last 25 years the court will not touch.
I think they filed it in the wrong court.
And
That too.
I'm not an attorney, but that's what someone told me about the wrong court. They should, actually, Joyce and me were talking about that. We think it should have been filed in the Court of Appeals.
Or the Supreme Court. I
Or
think
the
they could
Supreme, or the Supreme Court, right. They filed it in the Court of Common Pleas. So I think it's gonna be dismissed. We're not too concerned about it. His name's not on the ballot as of now. And since ballots went out already, the courts.
But have we been talking to the lawyers? Have they
Yeah.
filed an answer?
She's almost done with it, she may have sent it yesterday. Jackie's working on it, and she felt everything that Tom just said is what she said.
Okay, good. Any unfinished business?
No,
Any new business?
no, sir.
Anything for the good of the order or public comments?
Here's your chance, public comment, go for it.
Is there any reason why the 411 information papers cannot be at the polls? It just
Well,
has.
could you stand up and then just say who you are for the record? So
I'm
we'll-
Jean Stone, I'm here for the League of Women Voters.
Okay.
Is there any reason why the papers that we publish, the 411 information papers, can they be at the polls? Because I've worked polls and people have come in and asked questions they don't understand what's going on. So you'd be able to give them a paper so they could read it and maybe.
So what we'll do is, would you find out if that's considered electioneering or not? It is just an information page, but I'm gonna say that,
It depends on who puts the information page out. Can the Republican Party put an information page out? Or the
I'm sorry?
Democrat put an
No, it's
information
a-
page?
It's just information, it just has
From who?
comments that the
from the
League
League
of
of Women
Women.
Voters.
But a lot of Republicans don't find the League of Women Voters to be nonpartisan.
Yeah.
So they dropped them off, and they always do, and I had asked Danny the other day, I said, I don't know if we should put these for location, only because it could be considered electioneering, and then it's
well,
like the.
well, let's find out.
Right.
Let's ask our attorneys.
We give the Republicans every
So it would be
opportunity
like the
to
board
put
distributing
information in the
information
paper
on how to
also.
vote, and I didn't think.
Right,
it was-
but
Right, but you guys took a stance in August as a group, right?
That was a right to vote. We've not taken a stance on issue 1 or issue 2, either one.
I think,
I've never
I
seen
think
them
it's the
before.
board, well, that's why I'm going to send them, because it would be like the board, if they're at our polling location where we are renting for people to vote, and we're handing out literature, it looks like we're handing out literature one way or the other.
We've never done it
And I
before.
don't think they give the pros and the cons. If they gave the pros and the cons, it might be more informational, but you just do the issue and
It just explains, it just has what the issue is. It says language. It can have pro and con on it, so I don't know if that would be
Well,
something that.
if I was, I don't know the answer to this, but if I was to take an educated guess, I would guess that that's considered electioneering,
Okay.
and it would have to be beyond the 100 feet. Yeah, but let's ask the lawyers and see what they say.
Okay.
it would be like having a Vindicare polling list there, so I mean, it would be,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's why I said,
yeah.
The board would have to vote on that.
we appreciate it, we appreciate what you do, but we'll get a clarification on the Kathy.
Yeah, the reason they did not take an issue on either issue 1 or issue 2 was because we are nonpartisan, we don't, but technically, those issues should not be Republican or Democrat. They should be issues about rights of people.
So usually the Secretary of State does send a clarification. Remember, we had to have a poster at the last.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a clarification on the issue.
Yeah, no.
The only one I would say, the only issue I honestly think that's gonna cross both lines is issues two. I think, most Republicans I talk to are like, yeah, and a lot of Democrats are like, yeah, and then I hear a lot of Republicans know, a lot of Democrats know, I don't know.
Kids will be, yeah.
Oh, that's gonna bring the young vote
The
up.
young votes can come out.
Very a lot of Republicans, yeah.
All right, so the next regularly scheduled adjourned meeting is set for Monday, November 6th, 2023 at 6 PM in the boardroom of the Mahoney County Board of Elections office at 345 Oak Hill Avenue, Youngstown, Ohio, 44502, set to adjourn on Tuesday, November 7th, 2023, after the close of the polls, collections, tabulations, and release of the unofficial primary election vote totals. Do we need a motion to set a meeting?
No.
No.
No? All right, so the meeting is just set then. We will now, the chair will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
There is a motion made by Vice Chairwoman Sandra Barger. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Bob Arndt. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, would the director call the roll?
Ms. Barger?
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice?
Yes,
Mr. Arndt?
Yes.
Ms. Del Pesto?
Yes.
this meeting is adjourned.
I needed a cough one.